Okay, more plants. My yard has a lot of variety in it, which I love. Here as a ground cover is ajuga or bugleweed, and it has a chocolatey brown. So chocolatey brown in the plant world, hi Finn, is when you get that purple and green color mixing together. So if I hold this up to the light, you can see really a nice green, but it also has like this purple overtone to it. So they refer to that as a chocolate color. Oh, isn't that sweet? Okay, so beyond that is lady's mantle. Lady's mantle is in full bloom right now. After it's done blooming, I like to cut that one back. It gives it a nice fresh look in the garden because it'll put out new growth afterwards. But that chartreuse bloom has been going for about 2 weeks already, and it's at peak right now. So that'll start to slow down, and it'll need to be trimmed off probably in about another 2 to 3 weeks. So perennials, certain perennials have a very long or progressive bloom period, and can have a nice presence in the garden for quite some time. Something interesting about lady's mantle, which I can't show you right now, is that in the morning when there's dew on the plant, in the center of the leaf, the dew droplet will just sit there. So all the dew is on the leaf, but it doesn't stay on the leaf. It rolls to the center right there, and there'll be a perfect little beautiful droplet of water. This plant is called coral bells. So we saw coral bells on the other part of my yard that had purple leaves, and these have green leaves. And they also have a better looking flower. The flower seems to last a little bit longer on this variety. And I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you what variety it is, but it has a green leaf. It has pink flower. There's many that have green leaves and pink flowers. Longer lasting flowers on the green leaf varieties. So the things that are similar between them are the leaf shape. Kind of a maple shape. That one was pretty damaged. Here we go. Kind of a maple shape to it. And you'll see that to be true throughout all coral bells, regardless of what color they have. Here is a really interesting ground cover. It's a succulent. It's called Hens and Chicks. Sempervirens is the botanical name. And this plant is just super happy where it's at right now. Full flower. These crazy looking flower stalks come up. The chicks are, popping up here. So they call these little guys the chicks. These are the hens. And it'll just slowly creep. I've got a couple different varieties. This one's not flowering this year. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it flowers every other year. Here's a third variety. It's going to start flowering. So you can see just a couple different color differences in those 3 varieties that I have growing here. And my hope is that those will fill up this planting bed. I've got another little patch started up here, and hopefully they'll grow together. Maybe I'll get a few more varieties and have like a mosaic hens and chicks garden. What are these? These are called giant allium, and they were in full bloom. Those are the dried flower heads, and I like to leave them up for a little while, and then I get tired of them once something else around them starts to bloom. These black-eyed Susans are about to burst open, and by then I'll be tired of looking at the allium, so those will get taken away. But for now, they're really neat, and they're fun in the garden. They're just very unique. But these were beautiful purple in May, and they had some leaves, but those have already withered and died. It's a bulb, so you plant it in the fall, and then it is reliably hardy, and it keeps multiplying. So I only planted 3 in this whole area, and more have come up each year. So last one is black-eyed Susans. So black-eyed Susans compared to purple coneflower, do you hear that? The leaf is so much hairier on a black-eyed Susan. Looks very similar, but once you get up to it and touch it, you'll notice that it is much hairier than a black-eyed Susan. The bud looks a little bit different. You can start to see some of the yellow on these as they're getting ready to open up. So here's some that are for a little bit further along. And black-eyed Susans, there's a few different varieties, of course, but they are reliable in the garden. Some are biennial, so you have to let them go to seed and drop some of their seeds so that they continue to perpetuate in the garden. And then the birds like them, the butterflies like them. They will get out of hand and spread themselves all over if you let them. But in a managed garden, you can control that pretty easily.